This half of Canadian professional football, brought to you by Canadian Pacific. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
This is Ernie Afghanis welcoming you from CNE Stadium in Toronto, and this Eastern semifinal has this city in a frenzy. The Argos have captivated the imagination of their fans. The Argo fans feel this is their year and they're having a ball. However, they are not discounting a Hamilton team. They know that this Hamilton club is steeped in a winning tradition, a superb playoff club, and also they are the Grey Cup champions. No one underestimates a Hamilton team, no matter where they finish in the standings. And it's a cool afternoon for football. The skies are cloudy, about 45 degrees, but it's almost ideal. Let's talk to Joe Restic now, the coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And Joe, you've had problems all year with injuries, but you got a break today when Teddy Page walked back into camp.
We sure did, and we're very happy to see Teddy back. We actually didn't know whether he'd get back, and I'm sincere when I say that. He came in. We're fortunate. I think we're ready to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Leo Cahill, the coach of the Argos. And, Leo, I think you've got that Hamilton number. You beat them 3 out of 4 times this season, including the exhibitions.
Yeah, I think, early in the season we beat them in an exhibition game. Then we had one real close game with them and one game where we dominated the thing statistically. But Hamilton's a real tough football team. We're not underestimating them, and we know we're going to have to really fight to win the football game.
Thank you very much,
okay,
Leo.
Ernie.
Leo Cahill, the coach of the Toronto Argos. Now let's go up top and see what Bernie Faloney and Don Chevrier have to say.
Thanks, Ernie. Bernie, the injuries in the long run may be the determining factor in a game which these two teams are rated just about even in, or is Hamilton crying wolf on injuries?
I don't think they're crying wolf. I think they do have some injuries, Don, but in a game such as this, it's a must game. It's a playoff game. All the professional attitude comes out of a football player, and they'll play with those little injuries. It doesn't make that much difference.
Just about set now for the starting lineup for today's playoff game.
When you go to your butcher, you expect fresh meat. Meat at the peak of its flavor. And keeping meat fresh means constant refrigeration. You know it. Your butcher knows it. And we know it. So at Canadian Pacific, we developed controlled temperature cars for the fresh shipment of meats and other perishables. It's another way our specialized freight equipment works for you. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
This is the 4th meeting of the year between the Tiger Cats and the Argonauts. Argonauts winning 2 out of 3 in the regular season, but for both teams, this is the most important game today. The Tiger Cats now get set to bring out their starting defensive lineup. Number 70 is at left defensive end, Dave Beattie. 68, starting left tackle, the veteran Angelo Mosca. Here comes 61, the veteran right defensive tackle for Hamilton, John Barrow. A man who just may win All-Star honors in the Eastern Conference this year, 50, right defensive end, Billy Ray Laughlin. A valuable acquisition for the Tiger Cats from Montreal, linebacker Wilbert Scott, number 58. A man who's been around the CFL, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, and back to Hamilton, Al Miller, number 35, the middle linebacker. Number 14, playing on the right side, Bob Krause. The defensive backfield and backup quarterback, number 12, Bill Riddell. And just back from Buffalo, where he checked in with his reserve board in the Army, Ted Page. 23, Bobby Richardson, defensive halfback. Barry Hansen, playing in the right safety spot, number 28 for Hamilton. And playing for the injured Donnie Henley, number 20, Dewey Lincoln, starting at safety for Hamilton. And the rest of the Tiger Cat lineup for the Sudden Death Eastern Conference semifinal game. These teams have not met in the playoffs since 1961, that memorable overtime game in Hamilton, where the Tiger Cats emerged victorious, and into the Grey Cup they went. The Argonauts now get set to bring out their starting offensive lineup with number 41, the center, Ron Capham. Converted fullback playing left guard, number 53 is Bob Swift. The right guard, number 57, Charlie Bray. Another candidate for All-Star honors, left tackle 68, Bill Frank. The right tackle is number 60, the veteran Danny Nicolette. Very quick, Al Irwin, left hand, 71. The starting right hand is number 75, Mel Prophet. A man who may become the outstanding player in the East this year, Bill Simons, number 33. His backfield partner, number 11, right halfback, Jim Dillard. First-year flanker from Boston University, number 20, Neil Smith. Former Calgary Stampeder, Bobby Taylor, the flanker, number 24. In his third year at quarterback, number 12, Wally Gabler. That's the Argonauts starting offensive lineup for the semifinal game. These teams met just 2 weeks ago in Hamilton, with the Argonauts winning it 12-1. Argonauts picked up more than 500 yards offensively to 148 for Hamilton, but their problem was they couldn't score more than one touchdown against the Tiger Cats. The officiating staff for this game, number 28, is the referee, Gibbs Sagan. The line umpire is Seymour Wilson, number 10. The downfield judge is Bill Dell, number 25. The head linesman, Lauren Woods. And the field judge will be Bud Wiley. Waiting for the winner, the Ottawa Rough Riders. And the Rough Riders have won all 3 games against both the Tiger Cats and the Argonauts in regular league play. The band you're looking at is from Royal Oak, Michigan, part of the Argonaut practice of importing outstanding intercollegiate and high school bands from the United States. And they've proved a big hit throughout the season with the fans here at CNE Stadium. This band now getting ready to play Oh Canada. We are just about set to go, then. Gibbs Sagan leading the staff of officials out of the CNE Stadium field. And the band from Royal Oak, Michigan, making its way to the far sideline as the Hamilton Tiger Cats gets set to receive the opening kickoff. The Tiger Cats, for those of you with color sets, it is abundantly clear. They're wearing their black sweaters with the gold pants and the gold helmets. The Toronto Argonauts with the black sweaters, the midnight blue pants, and that double blue trim. Traditional with Toronto football teams over the years. At the bottom of your picture, Dave Metcalf, named the Rookie of the Year in the Eastern Conference, is about to receive the Gruen Award.
Dave, congratulations. And how about a big hand for Dave Metcalf?
Dave Metcalf, the Eastern Conference Canadian Rookie of the Year. And he'll be starting on defense in just a moment as Hamilton's going to receive the kickoff. The deep men, Alan Smith and Dewey Lincoln. Make that Turek and Lincoln back at the goal line. The kickoff will come from Dave Metcalf at the 45. The sudden-up game is underway. Turek at the 4. To the 31-yard line, where Ed Harrington, number 54, stops him for the Toronto Argonauts. Bernie?
The Argonauts almost gave the Tiger Cats a gift that time, Don, for just up until the last minute, just prior to the kickoff. They only had 11 men on the field, and number 69, Metcalf, came running in just at the last moment to make it an even 12.
It's 12 aside now. First down, 31. Alan Smith. 17 yards to the 47-yard line. Number 25, Thornton, with the tackle for Toronto. The Tiger Cats, with a wide running play, move the yardsticks the first time they put the ball into play. Joe Zuger is the quarterback with Sophia, 16, Smith, 22. Christian, 72, the starting flanker. And Dave Fleming, number 21, completes the backfield. Beatty and Coffey at the end. Alan Smith again. To the 52-yard line. Will have 5 yards before little Jimmy Dye, number 10, makes the stop for Toronto. Joe Zuger suffered a leg injury in the game with Montreal last Saturday. Was never doubtful for the game, but there's been some concern in Hamilton as to how effective he would be. Willie Bethia, jammed at the midfield stripe, will not have the first down. He will miss it by 2. Mike Bloom and Dave Metcalf, 70 and 69, combining on the tackles. They're going to bring out the yardsticks, but it appears to be a good yard away from the Hamilton first down. As you see, Bernie Hamilton has wanted to run wide all year, but they've had little success today. They started off very well. This time they're going to go with the confidence they've acquired.
Joe Resty gave the signal from the bench over there that to go for it, and Joe Zuger is going to try to pick up that yard here.
Petrich cannot hold Dave Fleming, and he should have the first down with ease. First down at the 51 for Hamilton.
Don, that series that the Hamilton Tiger Cats are using right now is called a veer series, and they'll probably be throwing off a play pass action on it.
Bethia. The 31-yard line, another big Hamilton first down. They have yet to throw a pass.
Willie Bethia coming in on a slant play on that particular play and running very hard coming up the center there. It looks to me like the Hamilton Tiger Cats are coming out with a ball control type of an offense and just rushing with that football.
Gilder keeps.
It's a belly offensive type of thing with Joe Zuger keeping. He makes a fine cut here, as you'll see, and drives in the end zone. His leg doesn't look to be bothering him at all on that particular play. This injury that I've been saying that Joe had, and Don, we talked about professional attitude and so forth. It looks like it's healed already.
He ran 31 yards for the score. And here's Coffey's attempt for the point after. It's good. They went 89 yards on 6 plays. A timeout on the field at the 3-minute mark of the first quarter to score is Hamilton 7 and Toronto nothing.
Meet Everett and Mabel Ferguson. They've traveled a lot. As a matter of fact, they're just coming back from Europe now with Canadian Pacific Airlines. Good trip, Everett? Everett and Mabel went to Amsterdam first, and then they really did Europe from there. Copenhagen. Munich. Watch it, Everett. Paris. Paris. Spain. The Costa del Sol. Where's Mabel? Oh. Lisbon. And then they went to Athens, Rome, and then home. The fast, friendly way, Canadian Pacific Airlines. When you go to Europe, ask your travel agent to book you CPA or call us. We'll put you in the picture. Canadian Pacific, saving you in so many ways.
Just like that, it's 7-0 Hamilton Tiger Cats with the game barely 3 minutes old. Tommy Joe Coffey on the kickoff to Dye and Simon. Simon takes it at the 9. Down at the 28-yard line. The Argonauts will start out from there. Christian, 72 with the tackle, a 17-yard run back.
Not much running with the Simon on that particular play. He's trying to find a hole. The blocking didn't get out in front of him fast enough.
With Gabler at quarterback, the Argonauts start out. And Jim Dillard has 2 at the 30-yard line. Scott and Bell, the tacklers for Hamilton. 2nd and 8 for Toronto. The Argonauts in a hole early in this game, down 7-0. Hamilton traveled in 6 plays, 81 yards, 89 yards to score. The pitch to Simon. Good pursuit. Big trouble. Down.
That was that option play that Simon got a chance to throw with that football. As you'll see here, he didn't get a chance to get it off. That little Marine came in to get him, number 15, to cut him off, and there's Simon's running around back there. And if you count the Tiger Cat jerseys, there's 7 that bring him down.
At the 4-yard line. 3rd down, Dave Mann to kick. It's a good one. Fleming. Back to the Argonauts 50-yard line. Aldridge with the tackle.
Tempers are flaring out there. Watch number 44, Aldridge, right here for the last minute. Say we're in this ball game all the way, Mr. Fleming.
The Tiger Cats leading 7-0. Have the ball in Argo territory again at the 50-yard line, 1st down. Fleming. Collects 8 yards near the 41. Learn and Die, stopping him for the Toronto Argonauts, who can't seem to find a solution to this Hamilton running game. Kelly and Danachuk are supplying many of the big blocks as they go wide with the outside backs. It's at the 43, and so the Tiger Cats are 2nd down and 3.5. They have yet to throw a pass. Here's the first. Smith. Touchdown.
Very explosive. There's a good fake by Willie Bethia, and Smith, number 22, catches the reception and makes great effort here to get in the end zone. Watch the lower of the shoulder to enable him to get in the end zone. It was the first pass that they have thrown. They've established that running game down, and then the first pass was a touchdown.
Coffey with the conversion attempt. Zuger to hold. And it's Hamilton 14, Toronto nothing, with more than 30,000 fans at CNE Stadium in a state of shock. The game is only 5 minutes old, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, running all the way with the exception of the one pass, stopped for the touchdown to Alan Smith, have been able to pile up a 14-point advantage over a Toronto team that was favored by 4 to 5 points by many going into this game. That time, they went 50 yards in only 2 plays to score. Coffey with the kickoff. Jimmy Dye at the 6. Over the 30-yard line and down near the 31 by Lonnie Mach, number 52, and Dave Beatty, number 70. The return was 25 yards with a 59-yard kickoff. First-year man Jimmy Dye. From the 31, first down. Too far for Bill Simon. Page and Krause covering on the play. Argos look rattled, Bernie, and it's understandable in view of the events of the first 5 minutes.
Yes, it is, Don. They've had the shot treatment given to them in the first 5 minutes here, but they'll regain their poise and confidence, and it'll be a good football game from here on in, I'm sure. Number 12, Billy Riddell, is playing number 24, Taylor, very close, and he may go to Taylor soon.
Jim Dillard rocked down at the 40-yard line by Al Miller, number 35, a yard short of the first down. The gain is 9. The fans want the Argonauts to go, and Cahill complies with that wish. It looks as though they're going to gamble on 3rd and 1. It paid off for Hamilton earlier, led to their first touchdown. Let's see what it does for the Argonauts. They have the first down at the 42-yard line as Gabler keeps on the quarterback's feet. Bill Simons is number 33. Dillard is number 11, 71. In with the play now, as you see, is Al Irwin, number 71. And Taylor, 24, steps out right. First man from the huddle. Dillard. At the 50-yard line, we'll have 7 for the Argonauts. His guard, Bray, got off line of the blocking and wound up in behind him. He might have had more.
Dillard is a big back and hasn't been getting much rushing work all year. Perhaps maybe they'll utilize this a little bit more today, but I would have thought that they'll be going more to number 33, Simons, and also 24, Taylor, in the passing situation.
This time Taylor is at the bottom on the left. Now they move right with Smith, Dillard, and Simons. Gabler keeps near the first down marker at the 53-yard line, met by John Barrow, number 61. Gibbs again, the referee, number 28, looks to the sideline to determine whether or not they have that first down. John Barrow has the option of having the chain brought out. He says yes. Let's have a look. First down for Toronto. Defensive change for Hamilton. Beatty now coming in for Christian. They've been switching back and forth on almost every play.
Pretty shrewd move on Barrow's part. I'm sure he knew that was a first down, but he wanted to give his team a little bit of rest and maybe stop the Argos.
Takes to Simons. Dillard incomplete. Dillard seemed to stop or was held up at the 35-yard line, and the pass was nowhere near him. Richardson and Riddell double coverage on him at that point. So it's 2nd and 10. The ball still between the 53 and the 54 of Toronto as the Argonauts trail Hamilton. The early minutes, 14-0. Taylor to the left. Simons. First through to the 45-yard line. Denise touchdown at the 47, but it may be another first down Toronto. They bring out the chain.
Grinding right out, number 75, Mel Prophet, made a fine block on that particular play to let Simons get through on come close to that first down.
So close, in fact, they have it. Now the Argonauts begin to methodically grind out the yardage. Marshall, 76 to the sidelines, and Irwin, 71, joins the huddle with a play from Leo Cahill. Gabler can't find a man open. And steps out for small yardage, maybe half a yard at the 46-yard line. Wally did not have a big day against the Ottawa Rough Riders in the showdown for first place last Sunday. He was effective, though, against the Tiger Cats the last time they met 2 weeks ago in the 12-1 Toronto win. He wants to play very well today to redeem himself in front of the fans here who have been a little down on him for his play in the Ottawa game. And he has a big job with his team down. 2 touchdowns, 14-0, 6:39 to play in the first quarter in Toronto. Intercepted by Dewey Lincoln. Lincoln cut down at the 53-yard line by Bob Swift, number 53.
This ball was overthrown. It was intended for Bobby Taylor as he was cutting in there. It was right in the arms of Dewey Lincoln, number 20. There's Taylor, 24, chasing Lincoln. Lincoln makes a fine cutback, and he gets a good shot by his own ball player there.
30 yards to return. Hamilton with the ball again, 54-yard line. Alan Smith stopped at the 50-yard line. If he'd broken that tackle from Jimmy Dye, he might have had that entire sideline to himself. As it is, the gain is 7, 2nd and 3 from the 49 of Toronto.
Don, those two guards up front, number 55 Danachuk and 57 Holman, are the people that are opening up those holes. And Kelly, 54 on the left side, blocking down on Wadsworth, number 59. Then Danachuk blocking out on Harrington, 54, and Holman pulling up to the center.
For Fleming, it is too far. Bob Moyer has a report near the Hamilton bench. Bob?
Well, Donnie Henley has had to sit this one out because of knee injuries. Donnie, were you surprised by the start of your ball club today? Pleasantly surprised, really, I might say. I'm not really surprised, but I knew the boys were up. I was talking to them in the dressing room, and I knew they were ready.
Zuger to punt, 3rd down. Not one of his better efforts. The bounce at the 10-yard line to Copeland. And that's all for Jimmy as he slips and falls. The kick traveled 39 yards. The return negligible. The Argonauts, Bernie, getting in worse field position all the time as this game progresses.
They haven't had good field position, Don. That's right. They moved the ball quite effectively the last series, though.
Bill Simons. He could go. Midfield. They are not going to catch Bill Simons. Touchdown! "100 yards, Bernie.
This is a great effort by Bill Simons. And it'll show you the speed of this big back. Once he gets out there, he's out racing some pretty fast people back there. And there goes Joe Simon's big bid for that Shenley Award early in his football game.
And it was Smith, or at least Swift, who made the block to get him free as the play opened up. Just listen to that cry. Man with the point after. Two flags. The kick was through, but Hamilton offside. The point is going to stand. It's 14-7 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 10 minutes into this Eastern Conference sudden-death semifinal game, and it's also sudden excitement, Bernie.
Don, it's great excitement. It's a fine football game so far. The fans are certainly getting a great spectacle out there. Simon's on that long run, and of course Zuger opening up with his long run, 31 yards for that first TD. And there's been pass interceptions, there's been good blocking, good hard tackling. This adds up to a real fine, tough, hard football game for the rest of this afternoon.
They are one touchdown apart as Dave Mann gets set to kick to Turek, 39. Andrew Fleming, 21, going back near the 5-yard line. At the goal line, Dave Fleming. The ball popped up free down there. Dewey Lincoln scooped it up. They rule it is all over at the 5.
Look, that's a reverse on that particular play, Don. There was a reverse on a kickoff, and the ball looked like it could have popped loose. We'll see it here with Fleming heading off and number 54 knocking down Lincoln at that point. There was a lot of shoulder bumping, too, after. 54 is Harrington.
So they keep the ball at the 5. Hamilton, the handoff to Lincoln, stopped right there. First down. Willie Bethia. Slithering through near the 10-yard line for a gain of close to 5. Stopped by Harrington and Wadsworth. Second down and just better than 5 to go for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As this exciting battle of the two rushing offenses continues at CNE Stadium in the first quarter. Too far for Beatty, too short for Alan Smith, incomplete. Let's check now with Ernie Afraganis near the Toronto bench. Ernie?
Don, I just talked to Simons, and I asked him when he thought the play broke and when he was getting ahead of the two people chasing him. He said, I don't know. I just ran and ran and ran and was hoping no one would get me, and they didn't.
That was his longest this year. Previously, he ran 75 yards. Zuger will kick from the end zone. Copeland supervising the ball as it bounces into touch at the 50-yard line of Toronto, or of Hamilton. And the Argonauts have the best field position they've enjoyed all day after that 40-yard punt. First down from the Hamilton 50. 3:52 to play in the first quarter, 14-7. Hamilton still leading. Taylor breaks out to the left. Jim Dillard. Good opening. First down.
Back on this play and picked up that big yardage for first down. Watch him cut here. His blockers are out in front. His guards make a fine block on the end in the corner, and he picked up that valuable yardage.
First down from the 37.5. Simons this time. Heavy traffic. Short yardage, maybe 3 at the 34. Stopped by Miller, number 35.
That going gets rough up in that middle up in there whenever nobody's out of that backfield. The middle linebacker isn't pulled out of that spot. And Miller was right there waiting for Simons, number 33, to come in that time.
The game was 4. They are 2nd and 6 from the 33 of Hamilton. Dillard the setback. Neil Smith, no good at the 20-yard line. was given a shot by Riddell, who thought the pass possibly might be complete, then a fumble, but it's ruled incomplete. They bring it back, third down. And there's a timeout on the field at the 12-minute mark of the first quarter. The score is Hamilton 14 and Toronto 7.
I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and sky. And all I ask is a tall ship and the star to steer her by. And the wheels kick, and the wind's song, and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face, and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again. For the call of the running tide is a wild call, and a clear call that we can be denied. And all I ask is a windy day, with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume, and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep, and a sweet dream when the long trip's over. Canadian Pacific ships carry travelers to Europe, cargo between Canada, Britain, and Europe, sun lovers on Caribbean cruises. Canadian Pacific serving you in so many ways.
Dave Mann will attempt a field goal. The Ticats having stalled the Argo offensive series. It'll come from the 41-yard line. One man back to receive it, Tommy Grant. It is good. He just got it over the crossbar, Bernie, and that is all.
That's all it takes, Don. Right over the crossbar between the uprights and the 3 points. And look what the score is now, 14-10 in the first quarter of this ball game. 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. This looks as though it's going to be a real classic football playoff game.
These teams have scored the 24 points. They scored 13 in the entire game last time. Bill Riddell in the backfield, a throw. Coffey has it taken away by Ed Learn. That is indeed a new wrinkle with the extra quarterback, Riddell. Back there with Zuger.
Here it is. Billy Riddell setting up and throwing a long pass. And watch this save by number 15, Ed Learn. That was a fantastic save on that particular play.
And so it reverts to second down and 10 from the 35-yard line. One quarterback in there now, Zuger. For Coffey, good at midfield. The gain is 20.
Tommy Joe Coffey right out between the corner linebacker and the deep halfback or end, catching that ball for the first down.
And the feet came down just inside the field of play, so it's a catch. From midfield, Hamilton, first down. Fleming has maybe 3 yards near the 52. Marvin Luster, number 27, was the man to meet him for Toronto. 2.5-yard gain, 7.5 to go for Hamilton on second down. They still lead 14-10, but the Argonauts have made a miraculous recovery after falling 2 touchdowns behind in the first 5 minutes of play. Zuger's receiver, Tommy Joe Coffey, slipped. Ed Learn, 15, was defending. And it's going to be third down. Still 7.5 yards to go for Hamilton.
Don, the Tiger Cats do have a few new wrinkles in their offense. They're switching number 22, Smith, into the backfield and out of the backfield, changing up with 21, Fleming. And on this particular occasion, throwing to number 75, Tommy Joe Coffey from a tight end position.
Zuger will catch to Copeland and Learn. Copeland calling for it at the 7-yard line. Back near the 13. Cut down there by Wilbert Scott, number 58. And the flag is up. A minute to play, less than that, in the first quarter at CNE Stadium. 4 points between these teams competing to go on to meet the Ottawa Rough Riders in the Eastern Final starting next week. Simons is caught at the 20-yard line by Al Miller. That play very ominously resembled the start of the previous long game.
You will see number 35, Al Miller of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, follow number 33, Simons, all afternoon. It looks to me as though he's been tabbed as the man to look after Billy Simons, because everywhere Bill Simons goes, so does number 35, Al Miller.
Second down and 4 from the 20-yard line of the Argonauts. The ball was caught by Irwin with Richardson draped right around him.
There's Irwin on a short out, and that's a fine catch because Richardson was right all over him, Don.
Got a free piggyback ride for the yard they gain. 3rd and 2, they'll have to punt. Dave Mann comes in as the Tiger Cats send back their 2 punt return men, Dave Fleming and Tommy Grant on the series, standing near the 45 of Hamilton. Tremendous punt. Fleming at the 24. Tries to pop the hole and gets back to the 38-yard line where Charlie Bray brings him down and the gun sounds. At the end of the first quarter, the score is Hamilton 14, Toronto 10. We'll have more CFL playoff action after this message.
When we say that you get good service at a Canadian Pacific hotel, we mean good service. Wherever you go, whether you stay at the Chateau Frontenac in Quebec City, the Palliser Hotel in Calgary, the Saskatchewan Hotel in Regina, the Empress in Victoria, or at any of the other fine Canadian Pacific hotels across the country. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
With Bernie Filoni, Ernie Afraganis, and Bob Moyer, this is Don Chevrier, CNE Stadium, Toronto, Quarter 2, Eastern Conference sudden death semifinal game. In the West tomorrow, the Eskimos and Stampeders will do the very same thing. That is, try to get into their conference finals in a semifinal playoff. Then, of course, next weekend, it'll be the winner against Saskatchewan. CBC Television will bring you a color cast of that game from Taylor Field, Regina, next Saturday afternoon. After Dave Mann's booming kick, traveling 64 yards in the air, Hamilton first down, 38. Riddell's in there again as a running back. And he has the first down at the Hamilton 50.
Billy Riddell taking over for number 22, Smith, running on that option play where he almost completed the last time to Tommy Joe Coffey, except for that great defensive play by Learn, is running the football here and shows that he can run that rollout from quarterback position if he ever gets in there.
Smith is back in this time. You saw Riddell go to the bench. Duger from the blind side, hit by Pete Martin. And Ernie Afraganis has a report from the Toronto bench. Ernie?
Don, I've got Dave Mann here. Dave, you're really hoisting that ball. Your ball club looked like it's going to come back.
Well, this is the time we come back. I mean, if I'm kicking the ball, it's only because I'm just pressure on this game. That's
You're
all.
ready.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Total offenses first quarter showed Hamilton with 174, Toronto with 128. Bear in mind, Simons had 100 of those yards in his touchdown run. Fleming hit and can't hold the ball at midfield by Dick Thornton. And Hamilton's string runs out at 3rd and 10. Speaking of Dave Mann, he outkicked Joe Zuger on average in the first quarter, 59.5 to 41.3. Zuger, the top punter in the Eastern Conference, with an average of better than 48 this year. Bad snap to him. Copeland of the 28. collared at the 33-yard line. Brought down there by Bob Story. The punt traveling 43 yards. The Argonauts now, with a 4-point deficit, start out first down at their 33 in the second minute of play. In the second quarter, 14-10 for Hamilton. Taylor sets out to the right. Dillard with the ball. Has 5 yards near the 38. Contained by Al Miller, number 35, and Angelo Mosca right there, too. Ernie, there are bound to be bruises along about 4:30 this afternoon showing up on both these teams.
They're really hitting hard out there, Don, and there has to be a lot of bruised individuals when this ball game is over.
Smith to the left, number 20. Prophet split and right. Back in motion left. Gabler had Smith open, but as he looked up to hit him, he was hit himself by Angelo Mosca. And the loss takes the ball back near the original line of scrimmage. The 32-yard line, 3rd and 11.
Just goes to show you, Don, that the rush that is being put on these quarterbacks, Ted Martin, number 77, came in for the Argos against Zuger, and there's Mosca, 68, for the Tiger Cats against Gabler.
Dave Mann. Neither man wanted to take the ball as they got confused. Finally, Fleming scoops it up and is surrounded. Grant and Fleming really got their signals crossed there.
I think they did. Both those men back there have to talk to each other, Don, and if they don't talk with each other, this is exactly what happens. One says, I got it, you take it type of thing, and nobody gets it.
And Rustick has a word with Grant coming out just to explain the procedure in a situation such as that. So from the 23-yard line, Hamilton will start out first down. 11:45 remaining in the second quarter. Ticats lead by 4 points. The extension to Alan Smith. And at the 33-yard line, Smith will be one away from the first down. Luster and Aldridge with the tackles for Toronto at the sideline. Alan Smith hasn't looked this good in a month, Bernie. He's really having a fine start in the game.
He made a great save on that particular lateral from Zuger. It was a little bit high. Joe was rushed on the occasion and had to pitch it quite quickly, and it was a little bit high, but Smith made a good save.
Fleming at the 35-yard line should have the Hamilton first down. They needed just about one. Nextel and Petrich filled in the hole there. But the Ticats have the first down with no difficulty. 11:07 remaining now. As Joe Rustick, always experimenting, always willing to try something new, makes a change. 72 Christian almost went to the wrong bench for a while there, but out he comes as Tommy Grant is in. Incomplete. Wadsworth was riding Fleming pretty close.
Mike Wadsworth, we talked about this last week, Don.
We'll talk about it more in a moment. The timeout on the field of the 4.5-minute mark of the second quarter with the score, Hamilton 14 and Toronto 10.
Don't you girls know anything? These are special cars that carry fast meetings on reserves. Wow, look at the big three-story truck carrying all those cars. Hey, there's the piggyback. Dude, get out of my way. I can't see. Hey, you guys, look what's coming now.
Remember the days when there were only two kinds of railway cars? The kind for people and the kind for freight. Now at Canadian Pacific, We use over 60 different kinds of freight cars alone. This not only makes us a better railway, but it makes train watching more fun. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
Well, Mike Wadsworth, number 59, was defending on that last screenplay. At the tackle, stands in the line and waits for a screen or a draw. And that particular time, he had Fleming, number 21, all wrapped up. It was bordering on interference.
Second down. Flag flies that time, but the catch is made. And walking into the end zone is Christian. But let's see what that marker meant. Back at the 40-yard line. Holding against the Hamilton Ticats.
There's the play. Jimmy Dye makes a stab, but look at Christian lumber into the end zone, all for nothing because there was a penalty on that particular play that will nullify it.
The play covering 75 yards is brought back. Gibbs Sagan, the referee-in-chief, having a conference with his staff and representatives of both teams. The signal we got was holding against Hamilton. Now a call against Toronto. One each way, and the ball stays at the 35-yard line. It'll be second and 10. For Coffey, no good. Learn and Arends colliding, preventing the sure interception at the 32-yard line. And it's third and 10, Hamilton.
Learn and Arends made a great play on this, but they collided, as you see, and Tommy Joe Coffey was deep in behind him. Joe Zuger was going for the bomb on two occasions. One was completed to Christian for nothing, and Tommy Joe Coffey almost, if the ball had been there a little bit further, was on his way too.
Low snap to Zuger. The punt is away. Copeland, 21-yard line. And he ducks out just inside the 30. For an 8-yard return, Bob Story stopping him there. The kick traveled 54. That is Joe Zuger's best kick today. 9:43 remaining until halftime. The score is unchanged from the first quarter, 14-10 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Bobby Taylor, 24 at the bottom, set right. Flag throw. Dillard for 5 yards at the 35. Is caught by Al Miller and Wilbert Scott. Illegal procedure called against Toronto. There's Sagan with the signal.
Number 68, Bill Frank, was in motion and tried to get back in time, but didn't quite make it on that particular play down.
That will cost them 5, back near the 24. First down repeated, but they have 15 to go. Donnie Henley with crutch in hand after knee surgery at the Hamilton bench. Gabler is in trouble. The release into the ground at the 30-yard line. The closest eligible receiver, I suppose, was Jim Dillard, but Danny Nicolette was a lot closer to the ball.
Billy Ray Loughlin making his bid for that Chenley Award also, Don, putting on a real tight rush, real fast rush, and hard, and Wally Gabler had to get rid of that football, and just as he did, he was sitting on the 5-yard stripe.
Second down, still 15. Gabler's only 1 for 6 in passing today. First pitch. He is going to go all the way. Argonauts take the lead.
Down on that play, that was a roll, semi-roll to the left, and Smith coming back against the grain, catches the ball on number 15, Teddy Page, and races all the way into the end zone to put the Argonauts ahead.
86 yards, the length of the pass and run. It's 16-14 Toronto. Mann will attempt to make it 17-14 with Gabler holding. He does. Argonauts getting down 14-0 have come back to score 17 consecutive points. And this is what they call explosive, exciting playoff football.
Certainly is, Don. And Teddy Page had a rough morning. He had to be in Buffalo to check with the United States Marines to see whether or not he was going to be around. And he did come around, and I wonder if now, at this particular point, if he wishes that he should have been able to stay there.
Mann will kick off to Turek, number 39. And Dewey Lincoln back with him, number 20, standing near the Hamilton goal line. Alan Smith, the shallow man, 22. 17-14 Toronto, midway through quarter two. Sudden death, Eastern Conference semifinal game. Here's Mann's kickoff. Turek at the 12. Rocked at the 30-yard line by Chuck Liebrock, number 52. The return 18, the kickoff traveling 53 of the Ticats now. Down for the first time today. Will start out from their 30, first down. I suppose Frank Clare, here to scout the game for Ottawa, just got a nice notebook full of Hamilton plays in the first quarter, and now he's copying down some Argonaut notes. Alan Smith has 5 yards with the reception at the 35-yard line.
Alan Smith and Marvin Lester having a little fracas over there on the sidelines there, Don. As Smith coming out on the play, you'll see if you follow, he catches the ball, makes a fine catch. And, well, we don't see that little fracas, but he made a motion to throw the ball.
The gain 5 leaves Hamilton second and 5, 35-yard line. Coffey and Christian out to the left. The pitch is to Fleming. In heavy traffic, down at the 36 for a gain of 1. Let's check now at the Argonaut bench with Ernie Afraganis.
Don, I just talked to Neil Smith about that last touchdown of the Argos and asked him how it happened. He said that he told the bench he was open several times previously on the same pattern, and he said he thought it would work, and it did.
That's right, Ernie. He has been open on a number of occasions, especially in the first quarter here. Page was just that close, but not close enough to stop him from going all the way. And Zuger now on 3rd down and 3 has to kick. Ed Learn, 33-yard line. Great run back near midfield. The return was 21 yards.
Ed Learn made a fine return on this, Don. It's good moves. It could almost be a slippery halfback. Look at him sneak through there. And this puts the Argonauts in fine field position this late in that second quarter.
The ball is positioned at the Argonaut 53-yard line, first down. Bill Simon, halfback option, tipped away for Bobby Taylor near midfield. The return was 21 yards.
Ed Learn made a fine return on this, Don. It's good moves. It could almost be a slippery halfback. Look at him sneak through there. And this puts the Argonauts in fine field position this late in that second quarter.
The ball is positioned at the Argonaut 53-yard line, first down. Bill Simon, halfback option, tipped away for Bobby Taylor near midfield. Bill Riddell, number 12, with a safety blitz coming on, got his hands on the ball to deflect it. Argonauts 2nd and 10, 53-yard line. 7:20 on the clock until halftime. Toronto leading Hamilton 17-14. These teams have not met in CFL playoff action in 7 years, not since that memorable overtime series of 1961, in which Mr. Filoni settled matters late in overtime in Hamilton. Gabler, keeping at the 49-yard line, will miss the first down by 2. Dave Beatty, the backpedaling defensive end, was there to bring him down. They'll be third at about 2 from that point. The Hamilton 49.
A lot of fever here, Don. A lot of football fever. The fans are calling for the Argonauts to go, but at this particular point of the game, they'd be foolish to try to make up 2 yards here when they're leading the game by 3 points, when a caveman front could put the Hamilton Tiger Cats into deep trouble.
And will kick from just beyond the 50. It's a dandy. At the goal line, Fleming. And he was collared by Ed Harrington, number 54, right at the 5-yard line. And as you said, that's the call. Hamilton now has a long way to go from their 5 as they get set to start out on first down. Tonight on Hockey Night in Canada, CBC Television brings you the St. Louis Blues and Montreal Canadiens in a rematch of last spring's memorable Stanley Cup final from the new Forum in Montreal. Monday, the Canadian Junior Football Final live from Clark Stadium in Edmonton. Bethia squeezing over the 10-yard line near the 13. Marvin Luster, number 27, met him there. And the Tiger Cats are 2 away from the first down marker. 5:55 as the clock is still moving. Time remaining in the second quarter. Joe Restick. Out to Fleming. No gain. Zuger simply flipping it out on the extension, but Fleming was surrounded by Argonauts. And on third down and 2, it'll be a Hamilton punt coming up.
And those plays are breaking down, I think, because the Argonauts are finally caught up with the wrinkles that the Hamilton Tiger Cats had. It was new early in the ball game, but now they're being able to isolate certain ball players and be able to break down that guard attack and holding them back.
Gilder kicking to Learn and Copeland near midfield. It's short. The bounce to Copeland at the 53. And he collides with Banachek, 55, near the 52, 51-yard line. And the Argonauts are inside Hamilton's half of the field again. The punt carrying 44 yards, and Copeland brought it back 8 to the Hamilton 51, from where the Argonauts start out first down. Leo Cahill and Bob Gibson, the coaches of the Argonaut bench. Gabler to Simons on the give, and Simons gets a couple near the 47.
Simons down, running pretty hard in there, but it's very tough to get through that number 61 and number 68, Barrow and Mosca. They did pick up a few yards, but they still have a long way from that first down.
2nd and 6 as the gain is 4. Just 5 minutes to play now in the second quarter. At halftime, we'll be looking at some future prospects for Canadian football. A feature on the first All-Pro, All-Ex-Pro, I suppose, coaching staff in Canadian college football at York University in Toronto. Gabler hits Mel Prophet at the 30-yard line. Al Miller engaged in a wrestling match. Here it is.
As Gabler throwing back to Prophet, right in between the linebackers. Prophet makes a fine play, and that shot was a little bit controversial, I believe.
Miller thought the ball had come free, but they rule no, and the kick is to Simons at the 30. Dives to the 25-yard line. Simons is certainly winning support in his attempt to become the outstanding player in Canadian football this year. Scott and Page containing him there just outside the Hamilton 25. Just over 4 minutes remain now in the second quarter. 17-14 Argos. Gabler has a big opening. It closed off quickly at the 20-yard line as Riddell bumps him into touch there.
Gabler's coming out of that pocket a little fast, a little before he has to, Don. He has plenty of time to throw that football. And we have a little conference going on down there now between Mel Propp at 75 and
looks like Wilbert Scott, John Barrow there.
John Barrow's got to be the referee. He's got to be the guy that's going to break it up. He's not going to have any of his ball players out of the game.
No punches thrown, simply a sweater-tugging exchange. Argos have the first down, incidentally, at the 20-yard line after all the feuding has subsided. They have 4:02 in which to go in and add to their lead here in the second quarter. That lead is 3 points, 17-14. Hamilton got their 14 right in a hurry. Argonauts came back with 17 more. Sideline pattern, Taylor, complete. 7-yard line. First and goal to go. Lincoln ran him out.
Wally Gabler on a half roll, hitting Bobby Taylor. It was the second pass that was thrown to Taylor. The first one was overthrown. It was intercepted by Lincoln. This one was complete.
76, Marco coming in with a play from Leo Cahill. The game was 13 yards. The onus now on that Hamilton defense to contain the Argonauts right here. Gabler lost the ball and has to get whatever he can near the 6-yard line. Rockland, number 50, made the contact. The ball came free. Looked to be a bad exchange from center, but he got a yard out of it. Second and still goal to go from the 6.
That's what's called that sprint out offense, Don, where all the motion comes to one side and Gabler takes the ball himself and tries to cut back up in behind the flow. But you can't run without the football. You need that thing. That's what you're playing for out there.
Well, I guess you can run, but they're not going to give you any points for it. So from the 6, the Argonauts coming out, second and goal. Simon to the left, Smith and Taylor to the right. Set back is Dillard. Gabler's throw, touchdown! No, he lost the ball. Smith, when he came down, lost the ball. Here it is.
The ball was thrown very well, and it looked as though Smith had it, but he didn't hold on to it, didn't have possession of the football. Therefore, it's no touchdown.
There's a timeout on the field. At the 12-minute mark of the second quarter, the score is Toronto 17 and Hamilton 14.
This is Dean, a typical Canadian boy. Dean plays hockey, loves candy, hates girls. In fact, Dean does all the usual things. But there's one thing about Dean that's a little bit different. He owns part of a railway, part of an airline, part of a steamship company, a trucking company, a hotel chain, and a telecommunications network. You see, Dean's parents bought him shares in Canadian Pacific, which makes him one of the 50,000 Canadians who own the majority of voting rights in our company. They're investing in Canada's future, and that's one of the reasons we try so hard. We know there are a lot of Deans with a real interest in the way Canada grows. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
We move into the final 3 minutes of the first half. Third down and goal. Dave Mann, with Gabler holding, will attempt a field goal with the angle to the left. At the 14-yard line, Grant back to receive. It is 3 points. And the Argonauts extend their lead to a margin of 6 points, 20-14.
Here's where the television quarterbacks will be second-guessing with Wally Gabler down there on the 7-yard line, and a big back like Simons didn't even get his hands on the football, either by throwing it to him or by letting him run with the football. They had a miscue on one play, and on the second play, they took him and put him out as a flanker. And to me, and I would imagine to many other people, this shouldn't be.
Alan Smith with the ball. Jackknife to the 40-yard line after a gain of about 6 by Ed Learn. And Ron Arenz, 17, is down, shaken up at the 40-yard line. Alan Smith has been used sparingly on offense in recent games for Hamilton, but he's come back today to be dynamic for them and was largely responsible for them getting into a 14-0 early lead. That has since faded. Argonauts have scored 20 unanswered points and lead 20-14, but Smith still looks effective. Arenz being treated at the 40-yard line. He's a Canadian defensive halfback who has shown to advantage with Toronto this year. Smith, by the way, has now gained 43 yards in 5 carries, and he took the second touchdown on a pass from Joe Zuger. And Arenz, to his feet, is out to the Argonaut bench with trainer Mert Profit.
Don, going into this ball game, it's interesting that Joe Zuger has had a 48.1 average against Dave Mann's 44 over the games that they played against each other. And I don't know exactly what it is today, but I think that Dave Mann is outkicking Joe Zuger in today's game.
The fake to the Thea. Zuger's set to throw. He's got Fleming open. This may be a touchdown play. At the 10-yard line, he is in. And the Tiger Cats are not dead yet.
There's that fake to Bethea, and it's a very similar pattern to what Neil Smith scored on his, throwing back against the grain, and Fleming in for the touchdown. Don, this is one of the finest playoff games I think I've ever witnessed.
We've had so many long scoring plays. Simons for 100. Another play covering 80-some yards. This one 69 from Zuger to Dave Fleming, and it's a tie game now. Coffey gets a chance to break that tie with the point after. And the Tiger Cats are back on top. Hamilton 21 and Toronto 20 in the final 2.5 minutes of the second quarter. What more can you say about the kind of offensive show these fans at CNE Stadium, more than 30,000 strong, and our viewers across the CBC television network have seen today?
41 points, Don, and we still have 2 minutes and 29 seconds left to go in this first half, and anything can happen. These teams out there are well prepared for this football game, both offensively, more so offensively than defensively, and it's the big plays that are opening up that are making the scores. You'll notice there's not too much really ball control grinding it out.
Coffey's kickoff. Jimmy Dye at the 10. At the 30-yard line, he's hit by Dave Beatty and brought to rest there. He puts the ball back 20 yards to the 30. The kickoff traveled 55, and it's Argo's first down from that point. 2:21 on the clock now until halftime. Next Saturday, of course, we'll shift our attention to the Western playoff. The first game of the final on CBC TV from Regina next Saturday. Simons caught early for a gain of 2.5 by Wilbert Scott at the 32-yard line. Let's go down to Bob Moyer now. Bob?
Don, just before that last Hamilton touchdown, Ron Arenz, the Argo defensive back, who intercepted 4 passes this year, was injured slightly. However, Argo trainer Mert Profit says he's just a little bit hazy, and he'll be all right in the second half.
It's amazing more injuries haven't resulted in the kind of bruising playoff game we're seeing. Strength left, Gabler, second down play. Here's Taylor. At the 30, at the 25-yard line. Caught finally by Teddy Page.
What a football game, Don. Look at this play. It's just over the heads of Bobby Taylor on a curl pattern, and Taylor makes a fine run to gain this long yardage. And there's the Marine coming in to tackle him, Teddy Page, number 15. But that has got to be a real comeback in a minute and 40 seconds left.
At the Hamilton 24, after a 54-yard gain on the play, Argos are first down. Teddy Page was defending for Hamilton.
Simon's out of the backfield on this fan pattern, makes a great catch here. The ball is low, and look at that catch with Teddy Page hanging all over him. The teams are really fired up now.
At the 6-yard line, first and goal to go, 1:24. The clock is moving in the first half. Hamilton leading 21-20. Taylor and Smith go left. It's a touchdown back into the hands of Neil Smith. The ball was tipped by Bobby Taylor.
There's the ball intended for Taylor, and let's watch this very closely. It's hit by a Hamilton Tiger Cat and Taylor, and picked off by Neil Smith for a touchdown.
Dewey Lincoln, the unhappy defender for the Tiger Cats. Of course, the ball came back in the form of a lateral, still in the field of play. Smith, sliding almost past the dead ball line, was still in the field of play for the touchdown. And as you say, we've seen everything with another half still to come here in Toronto. 26-21 now for the Argonauts, and they have a big town hall meeting after that play on the 10-yard line.
Never mind another half, Don. We still have 1 minute and 2 seconds left in this first half. 47 points scored in this first half, and they've all been spectacular type of touchdowns and points scored.
The lead has changed hands 3 times. Dave Van's convert is tipped. There's a flag down, and we'll wait a minute. Looks to be a roughing call against the Hamilton Tiger Cats' Billy Ray Laughlin, which would give Mann and the Argonauts a second chance to get the extra point. But the meeting continues. Andy Nicolak, number 60, and they're discussing it for the Argonauts. There is the rough play indication against Hamilton. They will repeat the conversion attempt. Joe Rustick showing the effects of this nerve-wracking afternoon in Toronto. So with Gabler set to hold, Mann will try again. And this time he has it. And the Argonauts run their lead to 6 points, 27-21, with 1:02 to play until halftime.
There'll be some talking at halftime, Don. There'll be a lot of adjustments, I'm sure, specifically defensively, to try to curtail some of these spectacular scoring plays that have happened today.
Hamilton was called for rough play on the successful convert by Mann as well, and the advance is to the 50-yard line from where Dave Mann will kick off. You name it, we have seen it here in this first half of the sudden death Eastern semifinal game. Mann booms one. Turek, 2 yards deep, is out. On the reverse to Dewey Lincoln. Lincoln dancing for yardage, but he can't find very much after a fine try near the 10-yard line. The minute flag is up in the first half of play. All that work on the exchange. Lincoln, slow to get up, returned the ball 12 yards.
What would you do, Don, as a quarterback here or a coach with 43 seconds left to go in the first half?
We'll see what they do, Bernie. You're the old quarterback at the 15-yard line. The gain is 5 for Willie Bethea. I suppose at this stage, just do what Hamilton's doing. Try some running plays. If one breaks 3, okay, but otherwise, don't take too many chances and give that ball back to the Argonauts, right?
That's right, Don. At this particular point of the game, anyway, try to get it back in an open field situation the best way you possibly can, either by running or hitting them short, and then play for that big second half.
Second down, 20 seconds left. Zuger throwing it out of bounds, past Dave Fleming. And we have 19 seconds left as the clock is stopped with the ball going into touch. November 22nd, CBC Television brings you the Vanier Cup game between Canada's top two college football teams from Varsity Stadium in Toronto. Of course, the National Shrine Junior Final next Monday from Clark Stadium in Edmonton. And next Saturday, we'll all be in Regina for the Western Final, the first game of their best-of-3 series. Zuger to kick on third down from the goal line. Fine kick, Copeland, 37-yard line. And he's down at the 43 with 8 seconds showing on the clock. Zuger's kick went 57 yards. Michalak made the tackle for Hamilton. They put the ball down on the 44. Argonauts having time for likely just one play. Argos lead 27-21. Taylor slips to the right. Simons has 3 yards to the 47-yard line, tripped up by Dave Beatty, and Bobby Crouch as the gun sounds to terminate play in the first half at CNE Stadium in Toronto. And what a half it has been. The Tiger Cats getting off to a 14-0 lead on 2 quick touchdowns within the first 3 minutes of play. The Argonauts coming back to assume a commanding lead of 20-14. The Ticats getting in front again 21-20. And the Argonauts late in this quarter on a short pass to Smith, tipped away from Bobby Taylor back to Smith, have it 27-21 at halftime. And now let's go down to Bob Moyer and his halftime guest. Bob?
Bill Simons, you've had a great afternoon so far, but I would imagine you and the Argo mates were a little bit worried when Hamilton took that quick lead.
Well, I think we got a confident team this week, and there's a lot of doubt about where we could come back after the great disappointment against Ottawa. And well, I think our team showed great poise coming back. Hamilton come out to play ball, and maybe was a little laxed at first, and you got Amara Hamilton there playing. They got Dave Beatty playing both ways. They got several boys that's going both ways, and this is a hard thing to do because I tried it.
Bill Simons, you made a great big run for a touchdown. Do you remember exactly what happened on that play?
No, it was just we've been running sweeps against them. Today we changed our sweep and just cut it up inside a little bit more, kind of off tackle, and they really got a sweep stopped. And Jimmy Dillard got a great block out there, and Bobby, everybody just did their job, and it was just a foot race, same old thing all year.
What about that catch on the 6-yard line there just about before the half, and you ended up with another touchdown?
Well, Wally's throwing a great ball today, and Ted Page had me well covered, and Wally just drew me back to the ball, and this is an ideal quarterback that does this, and I think Wally's throwing better today than he has all year, and we've had a long ways to come back, and Hamilton showed great poise, and I think our team showed real good poise. They're coming back, and we're real proud of the.
Okay, Phil. You feel all excited. See you in the second half. Bill Simons, an Argonaut star this afternoon and all year. The score is Hamilton 21, Toronto 27, and we'll continue with our halftime show after this message.
This is the new breed of railway man. He can tell you a lot about the new way of railroading, the Canadian Pacific way of railroading. He can tell you about specialized freight cars designed to take any freight you've got, and how our electronic scanners will soon enable us to tell exactly where on our system your freight is, instantly. He can tell you about Robot One, the rolling computerized control center that will help us to handle more freight faster than ever before, and about our computer installation, one of the largest in Canadian industry, and how it helps us move your freight more efficiently. Yes, he knows a lot about computers and electronic technology. But don't let him fool you. He's still a railway man at heart. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
At halftime. time, Toronto is leading Hamilton 27-21. And Bernie, have you ever seen a first half of football like that?
It is real wild football out there today. Everybody's playing real good, and I'm sure very exciting. There's nobody leaving this park, and nobody will, I'm sure, before the end of this football game.
The quarterbacks are getting away that long bomb today.
That's right, and connecting with them, too, right on the dead run. Everybody, like Fleming's touchdown and Neal's touchdown, Neil Smith's touchdown. Fantastic first half.
We'll be back with some of those highlights pretty soon. You know, there seems to be a tremendous swing of interest to Canadian college football. More and more college stars are making the jump into pro football, and the future seems very bright. The colleges, too, are attracting very able men to their athletic departments. Former All-American and CFL star Nobby Workowski is now athletic director at York University, a new campus in the Toronto area. Don Chevrier visited York University, had a long chat with Nobby, and was very impressed with the facilities there. And Don told him that he could see why he decided to sort of quit the pro game and come back to college.
Don, when I first was asked if I was interested in York University, I had to come up and see it. I'd been up here on a number of occasions before, and after I saw what was up here and the type of facilities that are going to be up here in the future, then I certainly decided that this was for me.
You have, apart from yourself, an all-round professional coaching staff here at York.
Well, professional insofar as they played professional. We don't coach as professionals or as a professionals would coach the boys, but yes, we have Doug McNichol, who played with Montreal and Toronto. We have Claire Exelby, who played with Montreal, Toronto, and Calgary, and Yulee Curtis, who played with Toronto.
This is unusual as far as Canadian college coaching is concerned, to have so many players who have seen service in Canadian pro football working with college kids who eventually will be in the pro ranks themselves, many of them.
Well, we hope so. Certainly we're not going out to coach these boys to become professionals, but if one of them desired to be a pro and he did have the potential, then naturally we would try to help him.
Is this the answer, Nobby, to better Canadian talent in the CFL, to have coaches who have played this game professionally themselves?
Well, I think people who are dedicated. I definitely believe that if the Canadian kids get better coaching, then they're going to be better football players.
Now, as you say, these boys are not trained here to play pro football. Many of them will, in your opinion, as coach first year. Who are some of the individuals that we might see 4 or 5 years from now in the CFL?
Well, I think that our quarterback certainly is outstanding. There's a boy out of De La Salle High School here in Toronto, Larry Iacino. He's not very big, but he's an excellent quarterback, has a good arm, good mind, can roll out, and could probably be my best defensive halfback if I so desired to play him. Then a fellow that really came along, one of my halfbacks, Sheldon Peddle. I think that Shelly's got everything to be a pro if he so desires again. Mind you, he's a little small, but we don't measure a man by his size, we measure him by his height. And I think that we have another boy that has pro potential if he so desires. This is another freshman, Jim Miller. Jim's about 6'3", about 190 pounds, and I think that 3 or 4 years from now, people may be hearing about him.
You would say, then, that college football in Canada is on the upswing, both in terms of interest and playing caliber.
Well, certainly, I think so. In 1951 and 2, when I first arrived in Toronto, I used to see the University of Toronto practice and play, and certainly at that time, there were spectators in the stands to the tune of 23,000 people a game. I think that University of Toronto this year has averaged around 13,000 people. I think that it is on the upswing. I think that the College Bowl and all the other things that the people are trying to do to promote college football, and certainly the contract that CBC has concerning college football is going to add a little incentive to the boys who want to really play Canadian college football.
Now, to sum up, will the future see more Canadian kids coming to Canadian universities to be trained, possibly for pro football, as opposed to the scholarship system that has sent so many down to the United States?
Well, I think so. I like to think that the kids are going to want to come here because, in essence, they can get as good a coaching now here in Canada as they can down in the States. You are always going to get the kid that does not have the money or the finances to go to Canadian university. Therefore, he may accept that scholarship down there, or he may not have grade 13, only grade 12, and again, not eligible for Ontario school.
Well, Nobby, there's no doubt the future is bright for you here at York. We wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you, Don.
Former Argonaut player and coach, Nobby Workowski.
Don Chevrier with Nobby Workowski, and as a former Argo, I think that Nobby would be quite proud of the Argos today. And at halftime, the score is Toronto 27 and Hamilton 21. And we'll continue with our halftime show right after this message.
Canadian Pacific flies you to Hong Kong.
Canadian Pacific fly you to Mexico. Canadian Pacific flies you to Tokyo.
Canadian Pacific flies you to Amsterdam. Canadian Pacific flies you to Rome.
Canadian Pacific flies you to Hawaii.
Canadian Pacific flies you to South America.
Canadian Pacific Airlines will fly you to the Orient, Hawaii, and the South Pacific, to Europe, Mexico, and South America. 23 destinations throughout the world. And, of course, we fly you across Canada, too. Canadian Pacific, serving you in so many ways.
Canadian professional football. Another General Motors Sports Action presentation brought to you by GM dealers across Canada who invite you to see and drive the Mark of Excellence cars.
Well, with 48 points scored in that first half, there must be a lot of offense. And as we look at the statistics, we find that so far, over 600 yards between both clubs. Don, that's quite a record.
Well, it's amazing. At this rate, they'll each have 600 yards by the end of the game if it continues in the second half. But the total offense is 349 for Hamilton and 281 for Toronto. That's 159 rushing, 196 passing. Yards lost, of course, bring about the net total offense of 349. Hamilton losing 11, and the Argonauts losing 6 yards. The passes attempted, 7 for 14 for Hamilton, Zuger, and Riddell, and 4 for 10 for Gabler and Simons, who threw 1 for Toronto. The interceptions, just the 1 by the Argonauts. The punting, Hamilton 54 yards, and the average, Toronto 45 yards. Both punters, Mann and Zuger, doing very, very well. The penalties, 15 yards, Toronto, and 5 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Quite a first half. The score is Toronto 27 and Hamilton 21. And we'll continue with our halftime show right after this message. Yes, sir.
Features in a car, I always tend to compare them to skating because it's what I know best. I would say that wide track is exactly the same as skiing with your feet slightly wide apart for more stability. You just feel a lot more stable on the road and especially in the turn. I love to drive a Pontiac. It's terrific.
We'll try to show you as many of the scoring plays as possible. A wild first half, as we said, and Hamilton jumped after that very quick lead of 14-0. That first one came as a surprise, really, Bernie, because that Hamilton club was all fired up, and I think Toronto was a little tight.
I think so, and Joe Zuger on an option play. It was a little bit of a wrinkle that the Hamilton Tiger Cats did put in, and this was an option play, and Zuger made a fine run cutting back here and driving his way into that end zone for that first surprise touchdown, really, that the Hamilton Tiger Cats did have.
And they came right back just a few moments later. A fellow by the name of Alan Smith seemed to get out there, and again, touchdown.
First pass that the Hamilton Tiger Cats threw, and it was off that belly series that Zuger scored on. He threw to Alan Smith, and Smith makes a great effort here, as you see, and getting down in there to make it 14-0 in favor of Hamilton this particular time.
I think one of the most electrifying runs we've seen in many, many seasons is the one that Simons got to get that Toronto club back in the running. It seemed to lift him, and Simons just blew out that sideline.
100 yards, good blocking in there by the offensive guards, and once Simons gets on that sideline, and if there's any controversy about Simons' speed at all, just look at it here. A real fine run, a fine bid, too, for
Simons and that Shirley Award, Ernie.
Dave Mann came back in just a few moments later after that and kicked a field goal, got the Argos even a little closer, 14-10. Then all of a sudden, the Argos were back in it again, and Gabler was passing to Neil Smith.
And Teddy Page was right on the play, but Smith made a great catch, rolled off Teddy Page, and ran unmolested in for the touchdown.
That gave them a 17-14 lead, but the Tiger Cats weren't dead at that point either, because they again started to roar back. The defenses seemed to be shaky at this point.
Well, they were rocking back and forth, and as you'll see right here, Zuger throws a long pitch down to Fleming, and Fleming outruns the deep defenders for the touchdown. This is kind of a game, Ernie, that is very exciting to the fans, very exciting, back and forth seesaw.
If that second half is anything like the first, look out. Well, the score is Hamilton 21, Toronto 27, and we'll return with the second half kickoff right after this message.
I broke away because I got teed off. I broke away because I wanted to swing.
Jack Nicklaus. I broke away to improve my driving.
Break away right now is the time. Right now you can break away.
Improve your driving. I did.
Break away in a wild track on the end. It's the breakaway time.
Don Chevrier with Bernie Filoni, Bob Moyer, Ernie Afaganis ready for the second half of what has been the most exciting playoff game in memory, at least this first half, and there's every indication that these teams are going to carry on and give us more outstanding football in the final 30 minutes. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are trailing by 6 points, 27-21. This large crowd here on a fairly pleasant November afternoon. It's 45 degrees and has remained at that level ever since the opening kickoff. There's very little wind factor of any kind. And so the teams with a dry field, despite an all-week rain, it seemed, in southern Ontario, because the tarp was laid down early, have been giving us a tremendous show. The Argonauts are going to receive the second half kickoff. The Hamilton Tiger Cats rallying at their bench around head coach Joe Restic come out, knowing they've got to make up the 6 points and go beyond that if they want to meet the Ottawa Rough Riders in the Eastern Conference Final. The Rough Riders are so strong that many of the wags here have remarked that it's like competing for the right to go into a meat chopper. Although Hamilton was very close with the Ottawa Rough Riders in their last game, 27-24 they lost in the late minutes. And the Argonauts have been improving every game against Ottawa, too. So, whichever team wins, it should be quite an Eastern final. This one is far from being settled. Tommy Joe Coffey gets the ball set in the tee at the 45-yard line, and the referee, Gibbs Sagan, signals the start of this third quarter. Neil Smith at the 20-yard line is out to the 35, from where the Argonauts will scrimmage and put the ball in play. First and 10, a 15-yard return of a 45-yard kick by Coffey. This being sudden death, there's a provision for overtime. We'll worry about that a little later if the need appears to be arising here at CNE Stadium. 6 points between the teams now, 27-21. Argos lead. Gabler tossed down by Vitti near the 27-yard line. Will lose 8 on the play. He's had to hesitate a great deal today, Bernie, because the Tiger Cats have been blanketing his receivers fairly well throughout the first half.
He was looking for a number 33 Simons on a deep post pattern that time, and Simons was about 35, 40 yards downfield. Gabler just didn't have time to get it to him.
Second down, 17. Simon. Gets near the 34-yard line. Miller tackled him, number 35 for Hamilton. But on 3rd and 11, the Tiger Cats will get the ball back as the Argonauts' Dave Mann comes into front. Grant and Fleming go back to receive the 3rd down kick, standing near the 25 of Hamilton. Fleming at the 23. At the 31-yard line is brought down. And to the far side of CNE Stadium now to Bob Moyer.
Don, we may have a little bit of weather problem here before the ball game's over. It's been such a great football game. It'd be a shame to bother it with the weather, but it has begun to spit. And the Hamilton team, of course, have brought their rain gear over for this second half. There are a few greasy spots, and more rain might hurt slightly.
Alan Smith gallops to the 38-yard line. I believe that's the word, to match his style of running. Those knees are up real high, pumping hard. He's having a good afternoon. That time he collected 6 yards to the 38. The Tiger Cats are 2nd and 4. Christian, number 72 left. Smith right with Beatty. Bethia countering near the 44-yard line and should have the first down. Number 44, Alan Ray Aldridge, made the tackle for the Argonauts. And it's first down, Hamilton.
Willie Bethia, the power fullback, jumping up in there very hard and brought down with elbows, knees, and everything that Aldridge and the defensive people could throw in there at him, but he made that first down.
Well, the only thing we haven't seen today is Aldridge in his pyramid field goal blocking attempt, but that will come later. Here's Bethia. 49-yard line. The gain is better than 5. Aldridge again with the tackle. Harrington, 54, for the Argonauts defensively. Wadsworth, Necto, and Petrich complete the front 4. Martin, Alan Ray Aldridge, and Bloom are the linebackers. And Alan Smith runs right through people. Bloom finally stopped him over midfield, the 53, but it is another Tiger Cat first down.
Don, you're right. Smith is having a pretty fair afternoon. He's running in there as hard as I've seen him run all year, following his blocking very well, and also making extra yards on his own.
Duger for Christian. Ed Lord intercepts. Hits his own man, Bloom, and he's down to the 37-yard line.
Christian, Don, was open early and was calling for the football, but the ball was thrown a little bit late, and Ed Leonard comes in to make this interception, goes high, as you see there in the air, and he runs around and finally runs into his own ball player on a cutback here. As you see, he runs into Bloom.
26 yards of return. This is Jim Dillard. He has 4 yards at the 40-yard line. Lauren's return on the interception was 26 yards for the Argonauts. We seem to be taking the play away from Hamilton at this point. There's a timeout on the field. At the 4-minute mark of the third quarter, the score is Toronto 27 and Hamilton 21.
July 26, 1968. Something special happened. We took a crowd of Buick owners to a secret location to give them a sneak preview of the new 1969 Buicks. This is what they said about the sport wagon. I really like that new Dawn 69 sports wagon.
That's the whole thing for me.
The GS 400.
I don't know what I'd do to improve it. The looks, handling, performance. It's great.
About the Wildcat.
Well, I think that engine it will be respected, and it maybe it'll even rule.
It's wild. It's really wild. I think that that's about the best words for it. It's really wild.
About the LeSabre.
The LeSabre seems to be exactly what we're looking for.
I was quite impressed with it.
I'm for the automatic lock.
About the Electra 225.
There's a Buick I love to own.
Buick owners keep selling Buicks for us. Wouldn't you really rather have a 1969 Buick?
At the Hamilton Tiger Cat bench, Joe Resnick now bundled up with a little rain gear. Talks to Joe Zuger. The Hamilton defense has the onus now. They must stop the Argonauts moving at the 40-yard line, second down. Gabler, a flood pattern, hits Simon. And they have the first down at the 53. Riddell, number 12, defending with the tackle for Hamilton.
A flood tight pattern like that is really hard to cover. You have everybody coming out to one side, and if your onside men take the corner and the halfback deep, and you slip out Simons as he did in behind there, behind the rushing end, he has a lot of room. You don't make a lot of yardage, but it's a completion for that first down.
New tight end, 76, Marco with a play from the bench. Simons, 50-yard line. Krause upending him there. It will be second down and 4 for Toronto on the 6-yard gain by Bill Simon. The lights on at CNE Stadium have been for some time. Light rain falling. Third quarter. Gabler for Simon. Page just caught him at the 8-yard line. Caught him by the heel. It would have been a touchdown.
Simon's coming out of the backfield and going back against the grain. Makes his catch. Look at that catch. And Page just catches him by the heel, as you say, to save that touchdown.
The advance is 43 yards. Argonauts first and goal to go. Inside the 10 at the 8.5. 71, Irwin. 33, Simon. Taylor, 24, breaks out and steps wide left. For Taylor, too far. And Page slipped on the track out there, but he's all right. Next Saturday, just prior to our coverage of the first Western final game from Taylor Field, Regina, CBC Television presents the Olympic highlights, the outstanding moments of the 19th Olympiad from Mexico City. That's just before the football game next Saturday afternoon on the CBC Television Network. From the 9, second down. Gabler tried to escape with a pass to Dillard, no good. And that rush has been bothersome to Gabler this afternoon. Mosca and Laughlin and Beatty have been getting to him or near him frequently, and he's hurried many of his throws. Argonauts, third down, goal to go at the 9. Dave Mann, as the fans defend against the rain, will attempt a field goal from the 17-yard line. Angle right. It is good. And the Argonauts won their lead to 9 points, 30-21 over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That's with 8:15 to play, and this is the third quarter in Toronto. Mann has been deadly with field goals, Bernie. That's been a big part of the Argonauts scoring, apart from those explosive plays of Simon.
That's very true, Don, and the scoring has already started in the second half, as you see, with that 3 points by Mann. It's getting a little dark out here and a little cold, too.
That's his third field goal today. Zuger, first down call. Gives to Smith. He has 3 yards near the 38. Bloom and Nechtel, 70 and 69 with the tacklers. They rule him down near the 37-yard line. It's a 2-yard gain, second and 8 to come. There's Dave Mann with a change of footwear at the sideline. The swing to Smith. He fell near the line of scrimmage. There'll be no game. Martin defending for Toronto, but it was a case simply of Smith losing his footing. As Bob reported earlier, that field is getting slick now. as the drizzle persists here in the third quarter. 30 for the Argonauts, 21 for the Tiger Cats. Zuger punting on 3rd and 8. Learn and Copeland. Ed Lard. Hit by Christian at the 29-yard line. 50-yard punt and a 6-yard run back.
That Christian, number 72 for the Tiger Cats, Don, is always down there making those tackles. There used to be number 14, Bobby Kraus, down there all the time. Now he and Christian race down to see who gets down there first. And this boy, Christian, I think is devastating on those punt returners.
Taylor to the right, setback, Simon, then Dillard. Fake to Dillard. A throw too far for Al Irwin. Gabler is not having a big passing day, Bernie. In fact, he's had trouble the last 3 games. What might be wrong?
Well, Don, he's throwing the ball a little far. Maybe it's a little over-anxious. I don't know. But I thought on most of his occasions today that he's throwing the ball fairly well. He has overthrown on a few occasions only.
Second down play, 29-yard line, motion right. Gabler keeps, but doesn't get much. Maybe 2 yards at the 31. Actually, Gabler's completion record today is not that bad, as you say, 9 for 17. Zuger is 5 for 11, so they're both near the 50% mark in completions on this game. 3rd and 8, man to punt. Snap from Capel. It is a short kick. 35-yard line. Fleming dancing up those sidelines, gets the better part of 20 on the return near the 54. And Aldridge made the tackle at the 54-yard line on a 21-yard return.
And I was talking prior to the second half that I thought that Zuger wasn't kicking as well as Dave Mann, but I have to say I'm wrong on that because Zuger's average is much better than Mann's on the day today.
Coffey and Christian set to the left. Bethia slides through an opening at the 50-yard line for 6 yards. 59, Wadsworth was the tackler for Toronto. Ticats second down, the better part of 4 yards to go, just a step inside the Argonauts 50. They trail by 9 to Toronto 30-21, 5:54 remaining in this third quarter. Christian left, Smith in motion left. Bethia, 45-yard line, has the Hamilton first down. Wadsworth again with the tackle. Zuger is mixing his running backs well. He seems to go in sort of spurts with them, Bernie. First with Smith. Now he's come back to Bethia. He's been effective.
He has been effective. The big effectiveness, though, Don, is number 55, Danichuk, blocking on Wadsworth. Even though Wadsworth's been making the tackle, Bethia's gained yards.
Coffey can't catch up with that pass. Defending was Arends, number 17.
Zuger going to the pass off the 2 fakes that Bethia, actually the 2 running plays that Bethia had made yardage on, and it's a good call in that particular situation because he had been running effectively.
Second and 10, 44-yard line of Toronto. Bethia is set in the backfield. Smith stands out to the right. A pass to Fleming was knocked away by Marvin Lester, number 27. 3rd and 10 now at the 44-yard line as the Tiger Cats finally run out of gas. Copeland at the 3-yard line, returns to the 5.
42-yard kick taken by Copeland.
Mitchell and Steiner stopped him at the 5-yard line, and the Argonauts, deep at their end of the field, will be out 1st and 10 in a moment or two. The punt traveled 42 yards. That slight drizzle still with us here at CNE Stadium this afternoon. Taylor left. Bill Simon to the 13-yard line. 8 yards will be the gain. Barry Hansen, number 28, the principal tackler on that play for Hamilton. We really miss Johnny Henley. There's no question about that on the deep defensive file, Bernie.
Yes, they do. And it's a lot of boys, really. It's been, we've had to replace a lot over the year, Don.
Jim Dillard is close to the first down at the 15-yard line, where he's met by Al Miller, number 35. It is an Argonaut first down. And now let's get this report from Ernie Afghani.
Don, I just talked to Dick Thornton and asked him if Hamilton was doing anything different, and he said not much. They're just trying to run at us very quick, changing people in positions and trying to confuse us, but nothing really different.
1st and 10, 15-yard line. Gabler is down for a loss. Back at the 4. John Barrow and Billy Ray Laughlin were both there, and he thought better of throwing the ball in that kind of company.
That's what a good professional quarterback should do, Don, when he gets all hung up like that, is not lose the ball. We're talking about players who had to be replaced. Just briefly, Ron Brewer, Ted Watkins, Dick Corey, and Smokey Stover. And, of course, Johnny Henley isn't in this ball game, but these boys had to be replaced for the full season.
Abel's lost 25 yards trying to pass. Simons with the ball. He was caught from behind at the 10-yard line. Wilbert Scott came across to bring him down, to break down some of that blocking in front of Simons. There's a timeout on the field. At the 12-minute mark of this third quarter, the score is Toronto 30 and Hamilton 21.
This is the newest car of them all. Pontiac Grand Prix for 69. With a cockpit that looks like it belongs in a supersonic jet. Then breakaway in the 1969 Pontiac Grand Prix. Want a 428 cubic inch V8? Order it. Want a 4-speed stick? Order it. Want to know where we hid the radio antenna? Forget it. Or see your Pontiac dealer. He'll tell you. Or maybe he won't. Breakaway in a 69 Grand Prix from Pontiac. Makes you wonder if those other cars will ever get off the ground.
The lights have been on at CNE Stadium for quite some time. We might apologize, too, if the brilliance of our color picture is not what it normally might be, but it's a pretty dark afternoon here in Toronto. And a little wet right about now as well. That kick is almost blocked. There's a contacting call at the 45-yard line. Tommy Grant is down to the 36-yard line. There are two kinds of penalties now on this. One is contacting and one is roughing. The contact certainly was made. Dave Mann dumped by Dewey Lincoln as he got that ball away.
I don't know whether you got a chance to see that. However, Dave Mann's punt, his leg was down and he was rocked pretty hard. Therefore, it is a contact of the kicker, a roughing the kicker call. And the Argos have the ball first down.
That's an automatic first down. They keep possession at the 10. Out they come with Taylor set to the left. Jim Dillard, met by Wilbert Scott, doesn't get far.